All right, good evening, and welcome to this episode of the Two Druggists podcast with your hosts, Dr. Matt and Ben, both community pharmacists who work together in a small independent pharmacy. Our podcast has the goal to educate and entertain our listeners with stories and inform students about the top 200 drugs, along with humorous tales from the pharmacy. Remember, you can listen to our show on iTunes, Spotify. We're also now on Radio Public and a couple of other podcast sites, which we will list very soon. You can also follow us on Twitter at Two Druggists, on Instagram at Two Druggists, and today's topic is following up on last week, the flu viruses.
And before we get into the flu viruses and the vaccines for them, which we're talking about today, we're not responsible for your idiocy. So if you do something stupid, you didn't consult your doctor, a medical professional, or one of us outside this podcast as a professional, it's your fault. It's not ours.
Exactly. Your disclaimer keeps getting better.
That's good. I'm glad.
That's good. All right. So last week we spoke about the flu antivirals. This week we're going to cover vaccines, mostly because, hey, it's flu season. And if you're the big box stores, you've already been vaccinating people for like 3 weeks, which is a tad early.
Well, I was going to ask you because when I see billboards on the chains when I'm driving through town,
yeah,
when is flu season? Because literally, it was like July. Like I saw advertisement to come in right now and get the flu shot.
That's a titch early. It's more like September through May. So I think if you're getting your shot in July, you're a little.
Well, I got mine Memorial Day weekend.
Did you?
Just kidding. No, it's too early.
Okay.
I think it's a little too early for that. I didn't get mine yet.
I'm waiting for pharmacy students to get mine because I can't give one to myself.
Have you ever tried?
No.
I thought about it. I had brought one home that I had built to myself, and I thought about trying to give myself mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't this is not going in at a 90-degree angle. It's too hard to get there.
Yep.
So I just didn't do it.
Our in-house pharmacy intern Friday nights gave himself his own flu shot. That was impressive.
He did do it.
He did.
That's pretty sweet.
I know of one other pharmacist, and if there are pharmacists out there that did do this, please chime in. Send us an email.
Yeah. Send us a video of yourself doing it.
That's right. That'd be even better.
Make a TikTok.
We still got to get on that, man.
Well, we were on it, but Trump banned us. We're too popular.
Oh, that's right. We were. We had 1 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
Do you remember Hot Liz from pharmacy school?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she gives herself a flu shot every year.
It's an edgy thing to do.
It is. She had it up on her Instagram once. It was kind of humorous.
I gave myself the intranasal flu shot.
I would not get an intranasal flu shot if you paid me.
It doesn't look comfortable. I told you about how I messed up the one before. It's just
but you got it up there. It was fine.
Yeah, it should be good. It's going in the sinuses.
That's right. I mean, they're all connected. Once you get it up there, it's fine. And besides, you figure, 50% of the dose is extra anyway.
Right.
That's just supposition. Don't take my word for it.
But I would assume too that they account for error.
They do. They've got to. Because there are a lot of idiots in the world that administer vaccines, I'm sure.
Yeah. Including us.
Including us.
Just kidding. We're professionals.
We're very professional. We'll ask you lots of questions, but I don't have any lollipops.
No. Or Batman Band-Aids or Paw Patrol Band-Aids.
Nope. I want Avengers Band-Aids.
Oh, you're spoiled.
No, that
good
is.
Band-Aid.
No Hannah Montana Band-Aids. Trying to think of the strange Band-Aids we've had in the house. We've had Pokemon Band-Aids.
Those would be good. Cool.
Yeah.
Those would be cool to keep in the office.
Nothing.
Just give a 90-year-old man a Pikachu Band-Aid.
You wouldn't know what it is.
The fuck is this? He's he's a gristled war vet.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? Pika what?
I could say something wholly inappropriate, but I'm not going to. We have to stay with some modicum of decency. We can't tap dance on the line of vulgarity.
Exactly. And we need to stay in the scope for these pharmacy fanatic listeners, right?
That's right. All three of them.
The flu shots, the flu shots are pouring in, though. They're starting to trickle in. They are.
I can't wait for IPI and API students to help give them. Yeah. And
they suck, right?
Not when I train them.
No, not the students. Giving them sucks.
Oh.
No. We love students. We love you guys. We do.
Actually,
honestly, we do.
The only thing that really sucks about giving them is the location for me in our store.
The walk
across the store to give them.
Yeah.
Other than that, 5 minutes away from the bench to give a flu shot, which is on average normal in the retail world, I think is good. I know some pharmacists probably go for the 30-second shot.
What's they get the 30-second shot?
That's how long it takes them to say hello, administer it, and walk away.
That's the golden standard from what I think.
Yeah. Then you have the other end of the spectrum where a colleague goes to give a flu shot and they're gone for like 30 minutes.
There was this one time I had 4 lunches because I would just go and give a flu shot and take a 30-minute lunch break while I was giving that flu shot.
Nice.
We went through, what it covered this year. We talked about current events. Yeah. I had my lunch, and everybody else was sweating.
It happens.
Yeah, I need to kick my feet up.
I'm a fan of that. I'm going to miss having a stool at the one location.
That is nice, dude.
Oh man, I'm going to miss that stool.
Nice.
It is. Anyway, so we're talking about the flu season. Our flu vaccines come in a couple of different flavors or varieties. You've got the high dose, which this year, new and improved quadrivalent. It has 4 strains of the flu to better protect you.
So last year with the high dose,
it was only 3.
Which what I saw and had administered. This is the first time I'm actually seeing like a quadrivalent high dose. Mm-hmm. Like, has that existed prior to this year? I don't think it has.
This is new and improved for this year.
I was impressed when I saw it.
Yeah, and did you notice that this year's high dose is 0.7 ml?
Yeah, so a little bit more volume into the muscle where it doesn't belong. So I guess possibly like adverse event issue-wise, like it might be a little more uncomfortable, but I don't think you'll notice.
I don't think you will. Nah. See, I have a theory about that. So, this year is 0.7. Mm-hmm. Next year is going to be 1 ml.
You think so?
Yeah, well, see, I have a theory. As you and I both know, and as many professional students know, the immune system is a tricky thing.
It is.
And the immune system of a 60 or 65-year-old is not so spry as we know. And the thought of the high dose was you give them more antigen, they're going to have a better response. Well, I think some executive at a company is thinking, well, if half an ml is good, 1 ml must be better. And I think they're driving for that 1 ml of antigen to stimulate.
As a marketing thing, like the public sees it as, wow, I'm getting more volume, so it must be true. I'm getting more of an immune response.
That would be an interesting marketing ploy.
Yeah.
That's
it's getting like a supersized fry. Like it's going to fill you up better and, it's better.
Tastes great, less filling.
It's like you said, I got the high dose. This is 0.5 mLs versus the standard, which is 0.5. It's like, no, you got the 0.7.
That's right. You got the big dose, the 0.7. And then next year, then they come out with the 1 ml. It's like, you got the 1 ml. You got the big gun.
You got the 45 caliber this year.
45 flu shot. I like that.
But this year's...
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, please.
I was going to say, but this year it's 2A and 2B type. Mm-hmm. Is that normally how the quads work?
As I recall, the standard quadrivalent was 3 A's and a B last year. Okay. But again, that goes into, remember folks, CDC surveillance starts actually CDC surveillance for flu is ongoing, and they look at the Pacific Rim and, Vietnam, China, and they look at the flu viruses there and they track them globally, and then they kind of, put them in a ball and shake them up and put them out on the table and see who they like. It's kind of like playing Scrabble.
So you're saying it's effective, right?
Yes. I most certainly believe the flu vaccine is at least 50% effective. Some years, not so much.
And even though they're putting all of this data and surveillance into a snow globe and shaking it up, I think that is better protection versus somebody not getting it at all.
Oh, most definitely. There's a lot of evidence out there that suggests that getting the flu shot, if you get the flu, you'll get a much milder case. Very much like the thought behind the shingles vaccine and having a less virulent case of the shingles.
Right. Less pain, symptoms, outbreak
resolves
duration.
Faster.
And it's important to remember, too, not to get off topic, even though we do that. But like with COVID, you can get infected with COVID and the flu at the same time. So if you can cover yourself for one infection,
exactly.
We have a flu vaccine.
We do. Not holding my breath on the COVID vaccine from some of the stuff I've been seeing, but that could be a whole other episode.
Oh, yes. And I'm not foreseeing it happening in this flu season either. But,
no.
It's extra protection for you if you have complications from not COVID, but any other sort of illness or whatever.
Exactly. We have to, remember people that have cardiovascular issues, pulmonary issues, diabetes are all at greater risk for the flu and having complications, hospitalizations, and God forbid, death. So a flu shot is good insurance to help prevent some of that.
And generally speaking, it's not anything that really hurts you either. I mean, People will tell you about the thimerosal and like I have Guillain-Barré syndrome, but all of these things and reactions, there's not a lot of evidence behind them to begin with. And
correct.
If there is, it's very rare.
Right. I've run into one person in 6 years that said they had Guillain-Barré from a vaccine, and that was from like the polio vaccine in the 50s.
And that's not really a syndrome, correct me if I'm wrong either, that's like directly related to a flu shot, but any type of vaccine that might have that sort of self-attacking thing with the nerves.
Right. Any sort of anything that can prime the immune, you could technically maybe get it with an infection.
Okay.
Because again, it's that over stimulation of the immune system.
Right.
But I think it's most well studied in vaccines.
Okay. That gives you that overreaction that leads you to have a neurological deficit or whatever it is.
Exactly. And I'm sure if anybody's listening and I've misspoken, we would love you to write into twodruggists@gmail to let me know I'm wrong.
Oh, yeah. Tweet at us too.
Yeah, we do tweet.
Yep, we're on the Twitter.
Yeah. I like Twitter. It's an interesting platform. I didn't like it for the first couple of years, but I've grown to like it.
It's fun. It's kind of like when you tweet as the kids. It's like sending a bottle out to sea. Like you see, like if people will see it and respond to it.
Yeah.
Usually they don't, but it's still fun.
It is still fun. It's probably safer than TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Or Discord, depending on what platforms you're liking. Although Discord may come into play for some things. So yeah, that's the high dose flu shot. Then we have the regular flu shot for those 65 down to 2 years of age. And, that's half an ml. It is a quadrivalent as well this year. So it's 2 A's, 2 B's. And it's inactivated. All the vaccines we've talked about thus far are what we call kill and fill. You grow the virus, you inactivate it with formaldehyde or sonication or some other method to break the virus up into bits. And then you just fill it in a syringe and there you go.
What's the issue with the egg allergy?
Oh, eggs. So as far as they've been making vaccines, the chicken egg is the most amazing incubator for making vaccines because you can take thousands of eggs pop a little hole in them, squirt in your inoculum with a needle, put some Elmer's glue on top, put it in an incubator, and it's just like a mini virus factory. And then what you do is, after 2 weeks, you pull it out, crack the egg open, decant the fluid, purify it, and boom, there's your vaccine.
You guys don't really use Elmer's glue, do you?
When I made vaccines, yeah, we did. Bottle of Elmer's glue, you just put a dab right over the hole. And it's funny because you would have these 5.5-foot trays of eggs, and first you had to candle them all to make sure that they were viable, because there had to be for this vaccine, there had to be not the flu, it was a chicken vaccine. You had to have a viable chicken embryo for the virus to grow on.
Okay.
And you would take these sharpened nail sets, and they had a curve to them, and you would just pop a hole in each one of the eggs, and you had to do it in such a way that you got it in the air sac.
Wow.
And because if you popped a hole where the fluid was, it would just leak out and it would be a bad egg.
Wow.
And
so you really have to have some dexterity to do this thing.
Yeah. And so then we would have these big 3-liter viral inoculums, and you would put a repeater syringe in with like 200 microliters, 0.2 ml, and you would just go along and shoot that right into all the eggs.
What's a viral inoculum?
Okay, so a viral inoculum is a culture of virus that you grow. Typically, your vaccine virus, in this case, it would be H2N5 Thailand version for the vaccine, and you would grow like 5 liters of it, and you would inoculate it into 3,000 eggs.
Okay.
And those eggs, you would,
somebody's doing this by hand.
Yes, most definitely. It would be a guy gowned up in a bunny suit, wearing a mask, sterile gloves, just going right along inoculating these eggs.
With just a keg of virus.
Pretty much, yeah. With a little bit of sterile aluminum foil on top to keep it clean. That's what I did in my former life. I made vaccines.
That's how a lot of the testing comes into it, or the manufacturing, rather.
So, right. So, once your vaccine virus grows, you then harvest it from the egg by literally cracking it and dumping the fluid and everything into a sterile container. And then you put it in a blender, a big stainless steel blender. And after that, you pour this chicken egg soup into through a strainer, and then you have essentially several liters of inoculum plus bits and pieces of chicken cell. You centrifuge it down, so then you just have the virus particles suspended in the medium. Then you would dilute that into your vaccine after you sonicate it.
A lot of man work. I don't imagine that.
Yep. Now, there are other ways to grow vaccines, and this will go into so we have egg-based flu vaccines, which I just described, and then we have cell culture-based flu vaccines.
Okay.
And cell culture flu vaccines are grown on MDCK cells.
And referring to flu shots, these are the recombinant vaccines, correct?
Well, no, it would be the standard, the vaccine virus. Just the cell culture is where you would grow it instead of the egg.
Okay.
So a recombinant vaccine would be taking like vaccinia, which is cowpox, splicing in hemagglutinin and making that your vaccine. That's a recombinant vaccine because you're genetically altering it or you're putting it into a vector.
Okay.
And a viral vector is another virus that you use to deliver a vaccine. So all the rage right now for the coronavirus is adenovirus vector. Okay. They work, but I'm not a fan of them. So cell culture, MDCK cells, maiden Darby canine kidney. So somewhere at some point, somebody took kidney cells, immortalized them so they would grow in culture. Bob's your uncle, great vaccines. So what they would do is they have these things called microcarriers. And a microcarrier is essentially a synthetic bead that the cells can attached to, and you can suspend these beads in a 1,000-liter fermenter. So you can make thousands of liters of vaccine virus. Think about making beer, but just vaccine instead. You ferment it.
Okay. So from what you're describing, when you're using like the canine kidney cells, like, a method like that, do you have a higher yield through that method versus the other?
That's actually a hard question to answer. Possibly. It's a cleaner product. That is the advantage, because what you would do is you would let the microcarrier, there's a stirring mechanism that keeps everything suspended and happy, and that you can, add fresh growth media and oxygen. It's a fascinating system. I did a little bit of it in industry. But at the end of your growth cycle of virus, when it reaches the point that you need, you just turn off the system, all the microcarriers come to the bottom, the cells fall off, you pull that off, and what you're left with is several thousand liters of cell culture fluid, which is then your vaccine.
Okay.
And then you could put that through some filters, and it's very clean virus.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's much very more involved processes.
It is. Making a vaccine is not easy. So when the federal government says, we'll have a vaccine by December, my first thought was bullshit.
I thought you guys just had like a big bowl that you mix it around with like a stick. And then you suction it up with each vaccine. That's it.
No.
So for those with egg allergies.
Eggs are bad. That's a good question to ask.
The kidney cell that sort of recombinant.
That will prevent that. Yeah.
That's an alternative for those that truly have an egg allergy.
Yeah, cell culture-based vaccines are a tremendously good alternative for egg allergies. Although it's strange, I've never run into anybody getting a flu shot that said they were allergic to egg.
What defines that? Like when somebody checks a little box on the consent form that I'm going to stick you, and they're like, well, gee, I'm allergic to eggs, doc. What should I do? It's like, what do you tell them?
Well, at that point, we suggest they find a provider, pharmacy, physician that has that the cell culture-based vaccine. Although go ahead.
When they have a true allergy.
When they have a true allergy. And of course, remember, a true allergy is defined as anaphylactoid type reaction, angioedema, swelling, trouble breathing, rash, hives, all that good stuff. Right. That's the point where you grab the EpiPen and stick them, and then you grab another one and stick them and call 911.
Right. You can't respond. You can't breathe. This person's on the floor. Right.
Right.
Do you get a little itchy because you had some eggs, some scrambled eggs, get your flu shot. You're good. Right?
Sure. And then, of course, there's also the preservative-free flu shot for our pregnant listeners. Okay. And that's pretty important because pregnant women do not get preservatives in their flu shot. At least some of them don't.
What preservatives are you referring to?
I want to say the standard vaccines have formaldehyde in them.
Is thimerosal an issue?
Well, thimerosal is a mercury-containing preservative that I don't think has been used in a long time.
Right. So that's a lot of people that, are wary of getting their shot because of issues of worrying for that, preservative. It's something that's kind of gone by the wayside now.
It has. I don't think any vaccines on the market have thimerosal in them.
Right.
The one vaccine I probably would not get unless you made me would be the live attenuated vaccine, the intranasal version.
You said you would never get that?
No.
What if I paid you $100? Would you get it? And I have to give it to you, knowing that I messed it up once before.
Yeah, I'm still going to say no. How about a grand? Then we could talk.
All right. You're a tough buy. $750. I think you'd do it.
I for $750, you're damn right I'd do it. I'd let you video it too.
It's like the Pawn Stars for coercing someone to get an intranasal vaccine.
That's right. Don't offer money for people to get a vaccine, folks. It's a free choice.
But to clarify, the intranasal one is live.
It is live. It is live attenuated. So that's a whole other vaccine ball can of worms. Mm-hmm. Live attenuated vaccines are rather difficult to make. So you can attenuate a virus a couple of different ways. Attenuate means weaken. You can do it via temperature. So you could try to adapt it to grow at a lower temperature than what it normally grows at. So flu virus grows really great at 98 degrees. If you adapt it to grow at 94, it's going to be a weaker virus because when they stick it in your nose, it will not be as happy.
Happy, like it's not going to survive?
It's not going to grow. It's not going to really do what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
It's kind of like, what's a good example of weakening it? Kind of like driving at night with sunglasses on. You just don't see as well.
Okay. So you're not really making your way where you need to be to have an effective therapeutic thing.
Right. The other way to attenuate or weaken a virus is what we call serial passage in culture. So you take a virus and you put it in a culture. It wipes out all the cells. You take some of that inoculum, put it into a new culture, and you do that about 600 times. And hopefully somewhere along that line, the virus will have enough replications to maybe mutate into a weaker form.
Okay. So you're working like towards a genetic aspect as far as weakening it. Okay.
You're taking that concept of antigenic shift and putting it to your advantage. You're trying to shift the virus to be less virulent.
When you say anagenic shift, is that something that can kind of occur, in like a herd immunity sort of sense?
Right. So anagenic shift happens on a slower basis. Anagenic drift. Anagenic shift is the more rapid version. I'll come back and explain that.
Okay.
Anagenic drift is what happens as the flu virus spreads around the globe. So the virus that gets to the United States from China may not be 100% the same. It'll be close. But as it passes through all those people, the double-stranded RNA genome, the guts of the virus, RNA is not as stable or inherently as DNA, so it will change. So that's anagenic drift, and that happens on a yearly basis. And, if you look back at pandemic strains, it takes about 30 years of anagenic drift to get a good pandemic strain that's going to really spread.
Okay.
Now, the anagenic shift is what we think happened with the 1918 flu virus. For all of you that may have been living under a rock, you would have heard about it because of the COVID comparisons. But right at the end of the Second World War, or the First World War, First World War, 1918.
Yep.
Influenza started, and it was bad. It was more virulent than what they had seen the year before, and it started killing people. And it went in two waves. The first wave was relatively mild. Some people were killed. And then about 6 months later, it shifted into a lethal killer. And that's the one that you read about in the history books.
You know who it killed, right?
What?
You know who it killed?
Who?
Wasn't it mostly young people and pregnant women?
Well, it was a W-shaped mortality curve. So it killed under 5, bumped up into the people in their 20s. Skipped the people up to about 20.
Right.
Then it hit the people in the 20s, and then it hit the really old people.
Okay.
W-shaped. But yeah, pregnant women, people in their prime were cut down by this virus.
Right.
I believe the estimate is worldwide between 20 and 50 million people died in a 2-year period.
Yeah, very, very tragic stuff.
It is.
And it's like we're at a point now with coronavirus where we don't know where we're headed.
We don't. It's a big question mark.
The flu season, that just shakes it up even more.
It does. So there's one thing that makes the flu vaccine better.
Yeah.
That I have been telling everybody for the last couple of years to do. Vitamin D3.
With the flu shot.
With the flu shot.
Okay.
So, and this is totally, it's not, black and white, but there are papers out there that suggest that higher vitamin D levels in the body enhance immune function. And if you have enhanced immune function, you'll get more benefit from the vaccine.
Okay.
So I try to ask my patients when they get their flu shot, do you take vitamin D? Most of them say no. So they get the pitch for vitamin D with the flu shot.
Ah.
Yeah.
So is a theory kind of like vitamin D awakens the immune system a bit so it can react better, respond better to when you get a vaccine?
Very much so.
Okay.
Vitamin D is, it's almost like thyroid hormone. It seems to work everywhere.
It's the alley-oop to the slam dunk of the effectiveness of a vaccine.
You got it. So yeah, if you're not taking vitamin D 1,000 units a day at minimum, get your levels checked by your doctor before you get that flu shot.
I'm getting weirded out. I need to get some vitamin D, man.
You do?
I don't take it.
Wait, you've listened to Dr. Dan go on and on about vitamin D.
Yep. I've listened to you. We've talked about it on the last podcast. I'm still not on it. I need to pick up a bottle tomorrow.
I know, Mason brand that, not our sponsor.
Hey, man, you know a guy that can get me some vitamin D?
I do.
Okay.
It's the good stuff.
Just let me know when this is over.
I will. I'll send you some samples. If only I could tell people that Cbd Enhanced Immunity, I would do that too.
That was a belief at one point, right? I mean, is it not though? I mean, it's possible.
It's there. It's just not as firm as vitamin D.
Right.
I think CBD does help inflammation and other things. So it modulates the immune system. I just can't say that it works for immunization.
Right. We don't want to get carried away as far as that.
I don't own any stock in CBD companies, so I can't get that carried away.
I understand.
Nor do I own any vitamin D companies, but I do take it regularly. And funny, last time I had my levels checked, it was like 75, so that's good.
75 is good?
Yeah, well, the cutoff for deficiency is like 25.
Okay. So you're up there. Is there a toxic level?
Don't think so.
Yeah.
See, that's old data. The studies on vitamin D, the old school studies for bone health, were all done on people that were exceedingly deficient and had bone problems. So the toxicity, I think, was just extrapolated from vitamin A because it's fat soluble. That's my own personal theory. I went to a great talk by a physician at Johns Hopkins, and he argued that you could give somebody 100,000 units a month and they would feel no ill effects.
Interesting.
He essentially said he didn't think there was any toxic level for vitamin D.
I'm thinking like, I mean, there could be a toxic level for anything, right? Like,
well, there could. I don't know what the LD50 is for vitamin D.
We need to get an expert to email us in.
That's right. At the Two Druggists podcast at Gmail. Or tweet at us at Two Druggists on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll respond.
Yeah, we will.
I was just thinking I was gonna ask you something.
Sure.
That's right. When's the best time to get a flu shot then?
I think the best time to get a flu shot is, middle to late September or start of October.
I kind of wait till October, but sometimes I get paranoid with the amount of people coming in. Like, am I waiting too long?
Oh, no. See, what you do then is you take some flu shots and you put it in a baggie with your name on it and hide it in the back of the fridge.
I'm not really afraid of them, being out of stock.
Oh, okay.
I'm worried about like when will I have the best, antibody response to it, that I'm covered.
Remember, from the point they give you the flu shot, it takes about 2 weeks to get peak antibody levels.
Okay.
So you've got that 2-week gray period where you're not quite covered, but you're not naive. That's why, people coming in like, I'm going on a cruise tomorrow. Can I get my flu shot? And I'm thinking that's not going to help you.
It's like, you can, but
you can. We'll give it to you, but
you're going to get sick on your flight if someone is sitting next to you sick. Yeah, right.
Which brings up an interesting point about immunizations. If you're going to do an immunization at a pharmacy, for the love of God, if you're going somewhere outside the United States, call us like 6 months ahead of time.
Yeah,
so that we can get
time.
Yeah. Because there are always people that come in and are like, oh, I'm going to Ecuador and I need to get my Hep A and Hep B and
my flight is in 2 hours.
Right. Can I get those?
Do something, asshole. And you're just like, come on, man.
What?
Like, don't do that.
Right. Don't do that.
If you're a consumer out there and you have a trip, do your research in advance.
Right. We will love to, take care of that immunization need for you, but give us the appropriate time.
Right.
If you think you're going to travel, come in a year ahead of time and just get immunized.
Yeah, it'll probably, it will cover you.
They're good. My favorite one is the Typhem, the Typhoid Vaccine.
Yeah.
Because I think that takes a week to become effective too.
Similar. I think it's similar because it's an inactivated one. It's 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if people come in and they're like, I'm leaving tomorrow, and you're like, it's better not getting it, I guess. But
yeah, it is. I would take some Cipro with you too, just into Pepto. But that's a whole other travel conversation. Let's see. We covered the high dose, the regular, the modified, live.
I guess I got something here for students and I guess patients, consumers. When you're getting your shot, there's a thing called a rotator cuff injury.
Mm-hmm.
And people have talked to me about it. People have come in for like pain relievers or suggestions or whatever.
I like Voltaren for that.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one because you need something for the inflammation. But really, oral ibuprofen would probably be better with some of these guys.
Yeah.
Instead of into the deltoid in the muscle, the vaccine can be mistakenly kind of given.
Injected.
If you look at the seam of the shirt, it can be given into this articular. Am I saying that right? The
interarticular, the joint capsule.
That ball and joint right there, that sac, that can create really a lot of like musculoskeletal sort of pain that doesn't go away.
Right.
But it's important to get it in the muscle. If it's given too high up, like the seam of the T-shirt, and if you notice somebody about to give that to you, say something. Or if you're about to give it, think twice. Like you need it to be. If you go lower than higher, that's better. You might get a little more sting, but you're not going to get that injury that really can happen.
My tip when I talk to students is find the biggest part of the shoulder muscle and stick it right there.
Yeah, and nobody's going to say anything, even if you kind of point with your finger. Just go for that, touch that meaty part where you're going to inject it.
Exactly.
Don't just, you have a target. Feel it out if you don't know.
Yeah.
This can really hurt people.
It can. I know of at least one student that did do an interarticular joint thing, and it did not go over well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's physical therapy can get involved. It's bad.
That's right. Oh, and as this is along the lines of that, but at some point in your immunization career, you're going to have someone who is, shall we say, underweight or cachectic, low body mass. You're going to hit their bone, and it's going to wig you out the first time.
So what'd you do the first time that happened?
I pulled it back just a little bit and smiled and just kept giving the shot.
You didn't panic? Did you panic and hyperventilate?
No, I stuck the little old lady and it went thunk. I'm like, oh shit, that's the bone. Let me back that out a little bit.
Yeah.
But this lady did freak me out, but it wasn't for hitting the bone. She was on warfarin and she had this enormous hematoma blood she bled through her Band-Aid. Oh my God, it was terrible. I was more worried about that than anything else.
That's the worst thing because it's just uncomfortable and you're trying to help. But I've had that happen. I don't know if it's been a vein I hit or what when I'm giving a flu shot. Like it's just a bleeder. I'm like, are you on a blood thinner? Like what's going on? Like no, nothing. It's just like a horror show, dude.
Yeah.
That is.
No, this little old lady had Coumadin bruises all over her arm, so I knew it was going to be interesting.
No. Yeah.
And her shoulder, when she was leaving, you could just see the blood pooling under there, and you're just like, I'm like,
Christ.
ma'am, do you want some ice? What do you? Can we help you out here? She looked at me. She goes, honey, that happens every shot. It'll be gone in a couple days.
Okay. At least she was aware of it.
Oh, she was. She was more worried that I was freaked out.
Wow.
And another thing to warn our students about is sharps safety.
Oh yes, go over this, please.
First, if you're on rotation and you stick yourself, don't wait 48 hours. Report it immediately.
Yeah, we won't laugh at you. Just tell us. We'll get in trouble. Like, just tell us.
Just tell us.
And you'll be fine. Like, we'll take care of you. Nobody will know. It's all good.
Yep, it's all good. The proper paperwork will be filled out. Blood work will be drawn.
Yes.
So on and so forth.
Right.
That's needle safety tip number 1. Needle safety tip number 2 is do not try to close the needle guard with your mouth. I've read a report of that. So, you don't try to close it like a ballpoint pen. You always flick it with the thumb.
Yeah. Don't hacky sack your used needles and try to get them into the needle sharps container. Don't do that.
Also, watch your needles container because you don't want to try to put it into a super full one because that's a great way for it to bounce out and stick you.
Yeah. Don't play darts with used needles. Don't do that.
No, definitely don't. So be careful with your needles. Make sure that, you immunize somebody, put them right in the sharps container.
Yep. Bing, bang, boom.
Yep.
You use it, you lock it.
You get
sharps.
rid of it. The fastest way to make your day very unpalatable is to stick yourself with a dirty needle.
Oof, never a good feeling. Never experienced it. Don't want to experience it.
Nope. I did experience it.
You guys needle stick before?
Yeah.
Did you have to go and get like a blood test?
Damn Skippy, I did, yeah. I was putting a needle in a full sharps container and it bounced out.
Ooh.
And it oh man, I went in the bathroom, washed it off.
Yeah. I'm sure you just go pale. It's not good.
Oh, actually they could hear me swearing outside in the pharmacy. It was at
but it happens, it
does.
People I know that are pharmacists have people tell it just happens. It's accidents. You really have to be careful. You get negligent. You have to be careful.
And it was just I didn't get it in there. It was the sharps container was over full and it bounced back and got me.
That's another thing. And you get busy, but if you have an overfull sharps container, just get that shit out of there.
Yeah.
Like there's another one you can use.
They're
but
cheap.
We all do it. You know how many times I've kind of just like shoved the last little inch I could get in there, and then go back to work. Like it happens. You get too busy.
You do. But yeah,
time.
I know I got an initial blood draw, and then I had one 6 months, and then like a year later for all the bloodborne pathogens, and they were all good.
Good.
But I figured I was good because the lady was like 87.
Okay. I don't know, man. She might have had a past.
I don't think you get to 87 with any sort of past. Not with those pasts.
Maybe she had a crazy weekend. You never know.
Well, dementia can set in and you can do crazy things.
Jeez, yeah.
Do you ever read those articles about HIV spreading in the elderly population because of dementia and people doing weird shit?
No, I know of people doing weird shit and there's an STD rise within,
Well, that's
elderly
the
centers. Same idea, right?
Yeah, same idea. I know gonorrhea and chlamydia are on the rise in that population.
Yeah.
Well, it was in that same article.
You're in the twilight of your life. Why not have fun, eh?
That's why they invented Viagra, man.
Exactly.
What is it, Blue Chew?
Blue Chew.
Blue
They
Chew.
haven't sponsored us yet.
No, they haven't, but maybe if we keep mentioning them, they
Yeah.
will.
We're there, man.
Yeah, I think we've mostly covered them.
We've did good. Anything
Yeah.
we should say to wrap it up?
I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys being here. We know you've all had busy weekends, and it's time to get your flu shot.
Yep.
Don't go to the chains. Go to
Your local independent.
Independent. We can take the time to talk to you about everything that you need to know about vaccines. Now's the hot spot to get vaccines. If you've gotten it already, you're fine. You don't need to worry about it.
Yep.
But you're not too late. Now is you're in the red zone for getting your flu shot. It's time to get it now as October approaches. And, we don't know what to expect with COVID, but, protect yourself best you can.
That's right. And if you don't want to come in the store, we'll come to you with a Sharps container right out to your car.
Yes, we will. Rubber gloves, face shield.
Yep.
We got you.
Want to wear a face shield?
No, probably not.
Yeah, no, neither am I. But
I wear these headphones.
That'd be great. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. We'll get this up pretty soon. And